I don't know what that dream is that you have. I don't care how disappointing it might have been as you've been working toward that dream. That dream that you're holding in your mind, that it's possible.
Is it cause I see things differently? Picture things vividly. Bring it all to life through the words of my ministry. In high-def imagery, I'll put it more simply. Show myself approved since I read the book of Timothy. Then I got my study on, I had an epiphany. Israel is the chosen, some accuse us of bigotry. But I'm not ashamed, though they charge me of arrogance. The things that I say are far-fetched to Americans. Yahweh on high, I ask you in reverence. Please give us the heathen as our inheritance. Psalms 2 and 8, cause their payback is overdue. Words of the psalmist now a hip-hop foldable. Lies that they told you, poison like a cobra bite. Keep God's laws and they'll raise us up overnight. Read the scriptures daily, stay away from lust and greed. You can move a mountain with the faith of a mustard seed. All things are possible, black people wake up. The world's about to change, God created it for Jacob. All things are possible, Hispanic people wake up. The world's about to change, God created it for Jacob. All things are possible, black people wake up. The world's about to change, God created it for Jacob. All things are possible, Hispanic people wake up. The world's about to change. And I beheld heaven open, and behold a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. We are at
so
war.
You better lace your straps up.
Physical and spiritual.
We're at war. So you better lace your straps up.
Man the hell up this room.
This is
We
war.
are at war.
So you better lace your straps up.
Physical and spiritual.
We're at war. So you better lace your straps
Man the hell
up.
up this room. Big tanks, warships, and planted hands with small chips. North Korea, Russian spies, war is at our doorsteps. History doesn't lie, they beat the slaves with horse whips. So I think it's only right we pay them back with small tips. End of time, spoken of, it's gonna get a little warm. Daniel 7 started 8, judgment of the little horn that beat us down, held us back, called us by obscenities. Prepare us a table in the presence of our enemies and pay them back. Worse than that, they argue that the earth is flat. Our babies dying, mothers crying, cities full of murdered blacks. Hispanics too, they hate you too. Edomites are not your friend. Harmless smile behind the scenes. They tracking you through iPhone 10 technologies, through policy. We served them since the colonies. This ain't our rest. My mind is right. This place is hell. I'm not at ease. I swore an oath with every breath. I promise to defend the law. Sword is sharpened, armored up. I'm calling for the men of
This is
war.
war. So you better lace your straps up.
Physical and spiritual.
We're at war. So you better lace your straps up.
Man the hell up this room.
This is
We
war.
are at war.
So you better lace your straps up.
Physical and spiritual.
We're at war. So you better lace your straps
Man the hell
up.
up this room.
Hold me with thy powerful hand.
in the trap, all they had was a key. But God is good, how he saved me from water that deep. I know the shepherd never strays too far from his sheep, no indeed. He may not come when you call him though, but he always on time like the morning show. That's why I praise him like I'm singing in the high note. And I give thanks out of 12 that he died for. Rose from the valley full of dry bones. Now every day I'm fighting for the kingdom like John Jones. A lot of these rappers my clones like Tyrone. I know they praying on my downfall, but I won't. The guy don't fold under pressure when he get tried. They vilify my confidence, think it's in the pride, but they don't realize sacrifices I survived. Give the old man years ago, it was in my eyes.
Do you know just how good my God is? I'm so thankful, thank God I got this. He's so faithful, grateful that I'm his, and I promise that he is so
Gotta give my name respect, cause I'm still blessed. See the risk, that's a plain protect. Every verse a dome shot, never aim at net. When it's go time, I just do it, see my game in check. When was worried about a hater ever was option. You 40 plus and still broke, you got bigger problems. I call a red, I ain't tripping, tell her pick an island. Put fringes on the Rick Owens, I be different styling. Never would've made it, now I'm situated. God's favorite, and that's word to the seed of Jacob. I overcame all my giants, you can see the David. He got me feeling like Zion, not the one to play with. All praises for the future, he forgave my past. Now I'm free at last, cover two, like he played the past. Babylon gotta burn every blade of grass. Till he take toll in the kingdom, gotta pay the pass.
Do you know just how good my God is? I'm so thankful, thank God I got this. He's so faithful, grateful that I'm his, and I promise that he is so good, so
Abanawa, Shabashamayim, Kwadash, Hayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakwathka, Thaba'a, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'aratazar, Kawa, Hayah, Bashamayim, Nathanawa, Lacham, Kal, Yawam, Wasalachnawa, Chaubwathnawa, Kasalachnawa, Chaubwathyanawa, Wala'a, Tabia Anawa, Manasaya 1, Abal, Hawashayanawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wa'ala, Wa'athapa Arath, La'ai Walamyam, Aman. Ya Baraka, Ya Baraka, Yahweh, Yahweh, Waya Shamaka, Waya Shamaka, Yahweh, 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 Panyawa Al Yaka, Panyawa Al Yaka, Waya Khanka, Waya Khanka, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yasha'a Yahweh, Yasha'a Yahweh, Panyawa Al Yaka, Panyawa Al Yaka, Wayasham, Wayasham, Laka Shalom, Laka Shalom, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, Yahweh Shah, Barak Rapah, Barak Rapah, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, Yahweh Shah, Barak Rapah, Barak Rapah, Yasha'Allah, Yasha'Allah.
Ain't God good? Ain't he good? Ain't God good? He's like Campbell sweet. He's sister, I know you've been reading the Bible, but as long as we say it's laid up, the wicked going to keep it. But God says it's time for us to tell that money, you don't belong to the wicked, you belong to us. And I want you to get in the right place. Money coming to me now. Somebody help me dance up here. Glory to God.
He is here. He is here. He is here. Ooh, ooh,
There comes a time that you have to learn how to inspire yourself, give hope to yourself, give joy to yourself, speak to yourself, preach to yourself, lay hands on yourself, bless yourself. You got to learn how to encourage yourself in the Lord, your God. Somebody lift your hands and say, hey.
Jesus is my Easter bunny. 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 Jesus is. Jesus is.
What's going on, guys? Sorry about that. A little bit of technical difficulty there. I didn't bring myself to the stage. My apologies. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, the supreme God of the universe, in the name of his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jesus Christ. Of course, as always, I want to say peace and blessings to everybody watching. Those of you guys that are watching us on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, Lines of Israel Class, as well as Maccabeestv. Peace and blessings to you guys. Please be sure to hit the like button on the video. Drop a comment in the comment section to trigger the algorithm so that people can see we're live and join in, or it can appear in their recommended videos in the future. Shout out to my brother Nasai, as always, for continuing to provide us his platform, Nasai TV, to broadcast directly into people's homes. And last but not least, of course, my Clubhouse family that's listening on Clubhouse. I want to say peace and blessings to you guys as well. Make sure that you guys are pinging people into the room. Make sure you guys are sharing the video on all your social media. And of course, you guys are welcome to click the link at the top of the room, which I believe is there. Let me just double check, but I know the officers usually do a good job with that. Yeah, make sure that you guys are coming over to YouTube. Today's lesson on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of visualization is a 10 out of 10. Matter of fact, I'll say it's a 20 out of 10. It's pretty much, if you can watch it, you're better off watching it than listening. But if you are indisposed and can only listen on Clubhouse, that's perfectly fine as well. With that being said, brothers and sisters, we are getting started a little earlier than usual today. So Some people are, especially people that are as you further go west, are still sleeping. So a lot of people are going to catch this later on. But today is the day before our camp is having our Passover. Our Passover is tomorrow. So we are having a meet and greet today. So there's definitely a lot of things we have to get together before the meet and greet. And we had a hell of a night at camp last night. We went to camp last night, and our brothers from Detroit definitely got to see how it goes down in the bricks. For those of y'all that don't know what the bricks is Newark, New Jersey. It's called the bricks for a reason. It's the city of projects, one of the most hood cities in America. And yeah, they was definitely not happy to see us out there last night preaching the word. So yeah, we definitely had a good time, preaching the word all the same. We understand the mission. We understand how our people are supposed to hate us. The Bible says if they hate us, just understand that they hated Yahweh first. So of course they're going to hate us as well. If people don't hate you for what you're teaching, you're probably not teaching the right thing. I just want to say that real quick. Right. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. And as I said, as people, see the video, they can always catch it a little bit later, or they can just tune in and get in where they fit in. All right. So we're going to pick it up from where we left off last week and continue on with the conversation about not being distracted. Now, I will tell you guys that I am on the road. So hopefully the background noise here at the hotel where I'm staying is not going to interfere with today's class. It might. If it does, please forgive me. Nevertheless, with that being said, let's go ahead and share the screen and let's get started. All right. And of course, if there's any technical difficulties, brothers from the camp can just shoot me a text and let me know that there's some type of technical difficulty, and I will do my best to fix it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's get started. So you guys might remember last week. Am I sharing? Yeah, I'm sharing. You guys might remember last week we started down this quote unquote rabbit hole of things that are going on in the world while we're being distracted by stuff like this, the whole Diddy situation, the Meek Mills, the Fannie Wilson, the Donald Trump, the Kendrick and J. Cole. Now you could throw Drake's name in there, as well as a whole bunch of other things that can be distracting. And so a lot of people wind up getting distracted by some of the most trivial, unimportant things. Like, we live in this world, so we're going to be disposed to things that are going on in the world. We're going to see things that's going on in the world. And there's nothing wrong with taking notice of it. There's nothing wrong with even talking about it sometimes. But the issue becomes when it becomes your main focus. And I think that's one of the things that I was seeing heavy, especially on Facebook and applications like that and Instagram, where people, especially Israelites in the truth, become more obsessed with what's going on in the world. And if you go down their timeline of what they're posting more about the folly than they are about the word. And that's a problem. That's a problem. Your social media platforms is supposed to be used to push this word. The Bible says we should not give them rest neither day nor night. That's the focus. So sometimes you have to level set people, redirect their attention. So that's the intention of this lesson. So as I said, we're going to pick it up where we left off last week. We're going to come to slide number 7, and we're going to read this scripture. So let's go ahead and let's get started. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 60. And we're going to start from verse number 1. It says, "Arise and shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee." What is that light? That light is Yahweh Shai. John 8:12. He says, "Then spake Yahweh Shai, Jesus, again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world." So the light that's going to be seen in the world is the light of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, who is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And we are the ambassadors of Yahweh Shai, who is the light. So his glory is risen upon us. We are the physical representation of Yahweh Shai on the earth. Just like America has diplomats, and diplomats will go and speak to other dignitaries in other countries, whether it be presidents, premiers, kings, whatever name you want to use, and they will speak on behalf of and represent. They will be literally the face of the country that they're representing. If the leader of that country is not able to actually make that trip, he'll send a diplomat or an ambassador on his behalf. That's what we are to Yahushua. The glory of the Lord is risen upon us, because Yahushua is the light of the world. Because what's going on in the world outside of the knowledge of Yahushua? Verse number 2 of Isaiah 60. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth. And that's what we see. That's what we're going into now. Darkness has covered the earth. There is no truth in the earth outside of what the Israelites are pushing. There's no other truth on this earth. This is the truth. And gross darkness, the people, the people of the world are in complete darkness. Not just our people. Our people are the primary focus. We're the ones that the gospel of the kingdom and repentance is supposed to be taught to, but all nations are in darkness. The powers that be have fooled and lied to all nations about everything, mainly who God's people are. Because if the other nations, I'm not talking about the elites of the other nations, but if the common people of the other nations knew who God's people were, they wouldn't do God's people like that, because they know that there's punishments in that. They know that God is with us, but they don't know. They don't know either. They're not taught the truth either. Verse 2, it says, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people, but the Lord shall arise upon thee. That's the elect. And his glory shall be seen upon thee. Let's read the book of Proverbs chapter 6, verse 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light. What light are we shining in this dark place? God's laws. The perfect embodiment of keeping God's laws, physically being a Bible, is Yahushua. I always tell brothers and sisters this thing. It's very, very important. You need to become, and I need to become, we need to become walking Bibles. People don't just listen to what you say, but they look at how you walk. And so many times when you bring this gospel, this knowledge to certain people, they reject it at first. But in time, if they are of the elect, they'll notice and mark your walk. And that's also in the Bible as well. And they'll begin to see certain things in you. And by virtue of how you have made transformations in your life, they might have known you one way in the world, and now you're a completely different person. By virtue of that, they become now interested in what it is that caused you to change, because they're ready to change now at that point in their life. You need to become a walking Bible. I need to become a walking Bible. Yahushua was that. He was a literal, physical embodiment of God's laws, because he was perfect. He never broke any of God's laws. He was without sin. So the laws is what's shining in this dark place. And when we preach Yahushua, we're preaching to our people the perfect example of how to be in favor with the Most High by following the path that Christ followed. That's the path that we want to follow, so we can be in good standing with the Father. That's the light that's shining in this dark world, because this world is filled with gross darkness. Let's move on. I'm going to come down here to slide number 8, just to refresh your memory about some of these subjects of interest that we talked about last week. And we're going to continue to delve and talk about today. Some of the subjects of interest that people are distracted from, that are actually taking place and revolutionizing the world as we know it, that if the Most High doesn't send his son within the next century, this place that we call Earth, that we live on, Esau wants to eliminate the majority of the world's population. And he's using a multi-tiered, a multifaceted system to do so. He's doing it through technology. He's doing it through war, which we see going on right now in Israel, between Israel and Iran, which we may get to. I have some slides on that. We might get to it. We may not. It's being done through politics. It's being done through geopolitics. There's a culture war that's being waged that's also destroying the people. Then we got to talk about agricultural wars, which is what they call soft kill. So for anybody that's not aware of the terminology, let me tell you guys about 2 terminologies. There's something called a hard kill, and there's something called a soft kill. When you talk about war is a hard kill, where you just go in and you just kill people, like Israel is doing over there to the so-called Palestinians. That's just a hard kill. They're just killing people, bombing hospitals, killing men, women, children, old and young. That's a hard kill. But ladies and gentlemen, there's something else that people don't talk about much. There's also something called a soft kill. That's done through agriculture. Translation, for example, and I'm sure most of you guys know this, there are ingredients in our foods that kill you slowly. If you was to take a bottle of ketchup, like from, I believe it's Heinz ketchup, and compare the ingredients in America as opposed to the ingredients in the same product that's being sold in Europe, it's different. There are many products which can kill you, but it's not going to kill you overnight. It's going to kill you slowly. It's called a soft kill, right? That America allows to be put in its products. The FDA allows to be put in its products. And the consumption of these things over time in a multifaceted way, different foods, not just food you're eating, but also what you're drinking as well. And if you think you're super healthy, what they're doing to the vegetables as well. Then you're talking about cloning and hybrid fruits and all type. It's a whole bunch of things. There's an agricultural war, and it kills the population slowly. That's why all types of diseases are on the incline. Cancers, so forth and so on of every type, especially, is on the incline. A lot of this stuff, a lot of diseases, as the great herbalist Patrick Dells and many of us say, the diseases is formed in the gut. A lot of illnesses that people suffer from, which I ain't gonna make this a health class today, a lot of that stuff starts with what you put in your mouth, because we're not educated on these things. He makes it accessible for us. He makes it cheap for us. He makes it taste good. So there's ingredients in there that's addictive. And at the same time, over time, is killing us at a rapid rate, especially us. But we're worried about Drake and Diddy. We're worried about, not Drake, we're worried about Drake, Diddy, Kendrick Lamar, and everything else. That's the problem. And then, of course, there are theological wars as well. All right, so with that being said, let's kind of pick up where we left off last week. I'm going to go back just a little bit. And I want to introduce you back to this devil again from last week. This guy's name is Yuri Noval Harari. He is a member, he's a member of the World Economic Forum. Let's go back a little bit. 2 slides, just in case somebody wasn't here last week. This is from the website, the World Economic Forum. For those of you who were here last week, you guys remember this. If you weren't, then here it is. The World Economic Forum, to make a long story short, and to put it in a nutshell, they plan and predict, meaning they prophesy the future. There's a certain agenda that they have in place, and they sit down in these think tanks and they plan 100 years ahead, and they slowly implement different things through different tiers. Like I said, let's go back. They slowly implement through all these different facets and others. Technology, war, politics, geopolitics, cultural war, agricultural wars, theological wars. They slowly implement their future agenda. And they sit down and they have these meetings in the open. And they say certain things in the open, and nobody's paying attention, because you right now are paying attention to Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. We're right now paying attention to the fact that the Golden State Warriors, their dynasty might break up now because they didn't make the playoffs. Oh my God, for the first time in how many years, the New York Knicks are the number 2 seed in the East. Hooray, hooray. The Lakers got into the playoffs barely by the skin of their teeth. Oh, look at the great record the New York Yankees have starting off the season. Caleb Wilson is going to be the number 1 pick. Can he be the next coming of what's the guy from Kansas City? I'm slipping my mind right now. The quarterback from Kansas City. Is he the next coming? Mahomes. That's what people are talking about. Then you add the rap music in and all the other folly. Then you got the gender wars online as well. And nobody's paying attention to this. They stated right on their website, it's about the Global Foresight Network, accelerating and advancing the practice of foresight, meaning they plan the future in advance, have these meetings in the open while you're not looking. And I'm not looking because we're distracted. Okay, now we're going to come back to this guy right here. When we left off last week, one of the technologies that they have introduced is AI, or artificial technology, artificial intelligence, right? So I want you guys to listen. We played this last week. We're going to play it again because now I want to pick up where we left off. I want to continue down that golden thread. Let's listen to this gentleman concerning artificial intelligence, which in its infancy right now, in its beta stages, seems harmless. It actually seems helpful. Hell, ChatGPT is super helpful. If you go and build a website next week and you go on Wix or one of these other websites to build a website, the AI technology is so helpful, so advanced, you barely have to do anything. So it seems cool, right? For now. But I'm telling you guys, AI is a job killer, which plays into prophecy. Listen.
Yeah, one of the biggest dangers with this new technology is that, a lot of jobs will disappear.
Yeah. You guys heard that? You process it. One of the dangers of AI, a lot of jobs are going to disappear. Let's keep going.
There will be new jobs, but the new jobs will demand high skills.
So there's going to be a new job. There's going to be new jobs in this AI future that we have. There's going to be new jobs. Here's the thing. When you go and you look at what our people are going to school for, social services, business administration, and all types of useless degrees that don't pay much and definitely do not coordinate with where the future is going. Just understand, if you don't have those skills, you're going to be left out. I didn't say it. The devil is telling you that. Listen again. Listen.
But the new jobs will demand high skills. So the biggest question in the job market would be whether you are able to retrain yourself to fill the new job.
You're going to have to retrain yourself to fill the new jobs, which means you're going to have to go back to school or somehow or another get the knowledge to fit the new economy where it's going. And if you can't, then what?
Then if you can't do it, the danger is you fall down to a new class, not unemployed, but unemployable, the useless class.
That's it right there. What did he say? He says, if you can't fit into the future where they're planning it and they're having these conversations at the World Economic Forum, you will be useless. This is Isaiah chapter 32, verse 6. It says, for the vile person, in this day and time, that's Esau, will speak villainy. This is villainy. He's not giving you solutions as to how to obtain this information so that the majority of the population can actually seamlessly transition into where the technology is going. No, it's going to be up to you. And do you guys think they're going to make it easy for you to get that information, to get loans for school or anything else you might need to go back and educate yourself? No, they're not. Because in order to get those loans, like Elder Zahab was saying last week, you're going to have to go through AI, because AI is going to take control of deciding who gets bank loans or not, who gets school loans or not, who gets grants or not. This is villainy. And the older people just simply are averse to technology. A lot of older people don't like to move with technology. It's hard to get some older people even to get cell phones as cell phones begin to become more and more advanced. It's hard for them to even move with that technology, much less AI. And his heart, meaning his mind, will work iniquity, which is sin, which is what they're doing. This is sin, is evil. To practice hypocrisy, to utter error against the Lord because they're making themselves into God, to make empty the souls of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. This is figurative, but ladies and gentlemen, it's literal too. Our people literally are going to be hungry and they're going to be thirsty because they're not going to be able, many of our people, to sustain themselves in the technology as it advances itself. Let's move on. Now, this is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12. We went over this last week. It says, remember now the Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, because those evil days are coming, nor the years draw nigh when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun or the moon, or the light, or the moon, or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In that day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few. If you're familiar with industry, like industrial factories, so forth and so on, when you see the heavy machinery in factories, those machineries in factories, they work on grinders. You guys can Google this for yourself. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. It's called machine grinders. These are in these industrial machines. They help make the machine go. So when it says the grinders shall cease, that's synonymous with there not being any work. That's what he's talking about. But it's not something that's just going to happen just spontaneously. No, it's going to happen over time, gradually. And it's happening right in front of our face. They introduce these technologies that we think is cute, it's amazing, or how wonderful it is. But in the long term, once it's out the beta test and it's fully implemented, it's going to be hell for our people. He tells you that. You're going to be useless. And I'm going to be useless too. If I'm not able to adapt to the technology, that's the point. That's why we need the Most High to send the Son and destroy this place. Let's move on. Now, some things to consider. Here is a young lady. I came across a video on YouTube, and I like her channel because what she does is she gives you different ways to be an entrepreneur, for lack of a better term, where you can make money on the side without having to work like a 9-to-5 job. So if you have a 9-to-5 job and you're looking to get like a side hustle, she's very, very good at making suggestions about different ways that you can actually make money on the side. And she did this video about AI. And I want you guys to consider some things. I have some things on the side that we're going to talk about as she goes through this video. I want you guys to pay attention because this plays into prophecy. Pay attention. Listen.
The next time you go to your doctor's appointment, instead of talking to a regular human nurse, you can end up being seen by an AI-generated nurse. Even when calling into your doctor's office to ask any type of medical question, instead of talking to the doctor or nurse, you could end up talking to AI. So
I want you guys to hear what she's saying. That's the future. In the future, when you call your doctor's office, you know, you're used to speaking to a human being. You might have to go through like a little bit of AI, punch this number in, punch that number in. But eventually, when you finally get to that human voice, it's not going to be a human voice. AI is going to take all those jobs. All of them. All of them. Listen.
You know, I'm about to tell you everything you need to know about these AI-generated nurses that has already been launching. I'm going to tell you how it works, where it's happening, and everything else you need to know right after this.
So he, in the video I showed you, just gave you a vague idea of where the technology is going. It's going to go this way. If you can't adapt, you're going to be useless. But he gave you no details. The sister's going to give you details about how a certain class of our people are going to be deemed useless. Pay attention.
What's up, guys? I'm Monique if you're new here, and if you're not, welcome back. So you know I had to bring you the news that you can use, especially about this topic, because as most of you already know, I am a nurse practitioner. So when I heard about this...
So the reason why she's very interested in this conversation about artificial intelligence, linking into no jobs, linking into prophecy while we're distracted with other stuff, is because she herself is a nurse's technician. So she's showing you how this is going to affect her. Listen.
I was completely blown away, and you will be too. I just came across this article that says NVIDIA announces AI-powered agents to replace nurses in hospitals.
AI-powered agents to replace nurses in hospitals. Okay. Oh, a lot of our sisters are going to school in the medical field. You want to be a nurse's assistant, a nurse's tech, or a nurse. Hey, great aspirations for you going to school and all that. Understand they're creating, and by the way, as you're going to school for those things, you also are incurring debt that you have to pay back, right? Meanwhile, they're creating artificial technology in the future that's going to do all the jobs that you're going to school to do now. So there's going to be less jobs. Oh, but you still got to pay that money back, though. Okay, let's keep going.
too. And these nurses are going to be doing things like taking patient calls, doing colonoscopy screenings, giving patient advice, and way more than that. And I'm going to tell you every single thing in a bit. But before we even go any further, you comment down below and let me know, would you want an AI nurse to take care of you rather than a human nurse? But let me go ahead and break down exactly what's going on so that you can really understand. So there are two companies that are involved with these new AI generated nurses. And the first is called NVIDIA, which is a very large tech company that's based in California. And just last month, a couple of weeks ago, they announced that they are partnering with another company called Hippocratic AI. And Hippocratic AI is actually the healthcare company that has created and is now offering these AI generated nurses. And these AI nurses are already in action. They're already being used.
It's already here. This is not the doom and gloom that, hey, it's coming. No, it's already here. It just hasn't been rolled out fully yet.
These AI generated nurses. And these AI nurses are already in action. They're already being used. Just take a look at this.
This is Linda calling from Memorial Hospital on a recorded line. Is this Albert Wu?
Yes, it is.
Wonderful. I'm calling on behalf of Dr. Brown, your cardiologist. To protect your privacy, can you please share your date of birth?
It's January 1st, 1950.
Thanks for confirming that.
So first of all, you can't even tell that it's AI that's actually calling you instead of a human. Now, eventually it does announce that it is an AI case manager. However, some people may not even understand what that is and still think they're talking to human, especially the way that this thing sounds.
This is Linda calling from Memorial Hospital.
So Hippocratic AI created what they are calling generative AI healthcare agents. So it's not really nurses, and they work fully autonomously, meaning they are independent. No human is controlling these things.
No human is controlling these things. Point number one. If a doctor gives you bad advice, a bad diagnosis, now you can sue them. But if AI gives you bad advice and you follow it, it's not a person. Can you sue it? Think about that. Think about that.
But this is going to be concerning for more people than nurses because these things have been created and trained to perform the tasks of nurses, of medical assistants, of nutritionists, and even of social work. I just wanted to show you how this stuff will actually work. Can you imagine going to have surgery and then waiting for a follow-up call that they say that they would make with you? And instead of your doctor or nurse, this AI agent calls you.
Hi, Sarah. I'm Rachel, your AI care manager. How are you doing after your appendectomy?
You know, I'm good. I'm glad to be home with my dog, Dennis.
It's great to hear that you're back home with Dennis.
I really don't know how I feel about this yet, y'all. Let me know down in the comments. Would you be okay with receiving an AI agent call instead of a call from your doctor or nurse following a surgery? And on top of doing those type of calls, these are the other things that these AI agents will be able to do. They'll be able to cover taking care of you for pre-op, to discharge you. They will be able to handle chronic care patients like those who have diabetes, breast cancer, and asthma. Most of those chronic conditions. Other things they'll be able to cover is nutrition, giving you nutritional information. They'll be able to assess you for health risks. They'll be doing screenings. There's even a pharmacy role where they can go over your medication with you.
I did forget to mention to the doctor that I am allergic to penicillin. Is it still okay to take the medications?
It's perfectly safe for you to take them.
Now, on top of them doing all of those different services, they will also be doing this for a cheap price of $9 an hour.
Boom. Let's go back. Did you guys see that? Right there in the corner. $9 an hour. How much do nurses get paid an hour? Like $30 an hour? Something like that? $30 an hour? National average, give or take? All the stuff at nurses techs, nurse practitioners, whatever it is that are doing, nutritionists, whatever that they're doing, the AI can do it for $9 an hour. So what do you need all these people you're paying $30 an hour for? You see how this AI plays into prophecy? Seems like nothing, but I'm telling you that revolution is coming. Understand that. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more.
$9 an hour. And with nurses already being at a shortage, there are actually nurses fighting for better wages in some areas. In fact, last year, about 32,000 nurses went on strike. So this company is actually trying to undercut real human nurses that get paid, as they claim, up to $90 an hour. But the actual
I said 30, they said 90. Now it's $9 an hour. Listen.
National average for nurses is somewhat in the 30s an hour. So they are offering these cheaper versions of AI agents that will be able to provide medical care to patients over the phone, and this is going to be done in real time. You pick up the phone, call them now, an AI agent will be there. So of course, you know, this is going to end up affecting jobs. Can you imagine hospitals and doctor offices having to make the decision between hiring a real human nurse at $60 an hour versus hiring an AI agent at $9 an hour?
That's prophecy. And it's not just this industry. I'm just using this as a case study. Because when he said it, it was just like, oh, yeah, he said, you're going to be useless, whatever. Now you're seeing what he meant. He meant what he said.
That they are claiming is able to do the same task that nurse can. You let me know down in the comments, who do you think that these hospitals and doctor offices are going to be choosing? And again, not just nurses. Like I said, medical assistants, social workers, and nutritionists.
I don't want to spend too much longer on this, but I'm going to tell you guys something. In this video also, they say the AI, by the time they perfect it, is going to be able to outperform nurses. As a matter of fact, I believe in the video she said, one AI will be able to perform the task of 9 nurses. Okay, just consider that for a second. Let's move on. That was enough of that.
The next.
Okay. So as I told you guys, this is what evil really looks like. You know, we were told as kids that evil looks like these cartoon characters. No, this is evil right here. But let's come down to slide number 25. I went over this last week, but I want to go over it again. We're still talking about technology, so forth and so on. So let's talk about Hollywood for a second. Last week we went over this. So now more people, if you were here last week, most people should already know what I'm going to go into. The origin of the word Hollywood. Is it just random, or is there a deeper implication, right? So as I showed you guys last week, this word Hollywood goes back to the ancient Druids, who used a Hollywood magic wand to banish unwelcome spirits and command one's bidding. In other words, they use it to control people. This is all ancient stuff. It's from an article called The Secrets of the Tree of Holly, the holly tree, a magical tree that was used by the ancient Druids to cast spells on people. Thus your Hollywood, because what do they do in Hollywood? They use to cast spells on people to control the way people think, and ultimately the way they think controls what they do, right? I also showed you guys last week that Hollywood tree wands are still being sold on Etsy today, right? See, this is a wand made out of the holly tree on Etsy, going for $52.99. This is not new. Just because it's not, they don't talk about it on the 6 o'clock news doesn't mean it's not real. They don't want you to know this stuff. It's out there, but they ain't gonna make it easy for you to find it out. Right? I remember, as I told you guys last week, when I first came into the truth, you know, in 1992, the elders were talking about this then. And I'm looking now, 30-something years later, people still don't know this stuff. They just think that's a cute sign in California. They want to go and get a photo op. No, they're telling you what this is. He who hath an ear, she who hath an ear, let them hear. Let's move on. Now, speaking of Hollywood, now that we know what Hollywood is and what the implications of it is, it's really used to cast spells and control people and get people to do their bidding. I want to visit a word that we hear thrown around a lot by the people that wear the little hats, the small hats. You always use this word trope. Oh, you're just a trope. What is a trope? So Webster's dictionary tells us that a trope is a word or expression used in a figurative sense. Definition B says is a common or overused theme or device. So a trope, I want to focus on B. It's something that's overused. Why am I focusing on the word overused? Because we were just talking about Hollywood. We all know who controls Hollywood. We all know. It's the people that wear the little hats. They control Hollywood on every level, from the top to the bottom. Magazines, music, television, movies. They control everything, but they say, no, that's a trope. It's overused. It's not true. Okay. Well, as I told you guys last week, we're not dealing with conspiracy theories. All we're going to do is we're just going to examine the information and form a conclusion. We're not doing tropes today. We're not doing tropes. Not at all. So let's look at this other word, this anti-Sem trope, right? I got this from Wikipedia, and I went to the section of the article that speaks about controlling the media. Pay attention. It says, they're saying, but this is wrong. It's overused because it's not true. It's not true. Okay. Well, it says one anti-Sem cliche, they say it's cliche, is that the small hats control the media in Hollywood. They say that that's an overused theme. It's an overused cliche. It's not true. That's what Wikipedia says. So now, of course, our people that are stupid. They were like, yeah, we can't say that about them. It's a trope. It's not true. Okay. So here's the question I have. The question I have is, if it's not true, when is somebody going to get in touch with the individual that made this documentary I'm about to play the first 4 minutes of, and let them know that it's a trope? Because the individual that made this documentary is a small hat. He is a small hat. Now, remember, we're told it's a cliche to say that they're controlling the media in Hollywood. That's cliche. It's not true. Okay. Then one of them makes a documentary, and let's watch together and see what he says, because we don't want to say it because we'll be anti-Sem and we'll be this and we'll be that. So we're not going to say it. We're going to let him say it. Okay. Pay attention. And this documentary is available on YouTube. That's where I got it. You guys can go there and get it for yourselves if you want. We're only going to watch the first 4 minutes, but you might want to later on go watch the whole thing. It's very good. I watched it. Let's go.
These images conceal memories. Beneath Hollywood's familiar stories lies a hidden history of persecution and murder, which haunted a small group of men, not American cowboys, but Jewish immigrants. This is the story of the founders of Hollywood.
Wait. This is the story of the founders of Hollywood. So we're going to see if it's cliche or not, because we're being told it's a trope.
Beneath Hollywood's familiar stories lies a hidden history of persecution and murder, which haunted a small group of men, not American cowboys, but Jewish immigrants. This is the story of the founders of Hollywood, the story of the idea that became their America and ours.
So the story of the founding of Hollywood became their America, meaning the Jews, and ours. Wait, I thought it was a cliche. I thought it was a trope. No, that's just what they want to say to appeal to your emotions, not our emotions, but the ones of our people that are not educated and don't know no better. Listen. Look at the names of the people that put this together. These are the folks that go to synagogue on Saturday and put the little Brock up on their head. They made this, not us. Let's keep watching.
Is America to me a name, a map, a or a flag I see, a certain word, democracy. What is America to me? A house I live in, a plot of earth, street.
Modern America first saw light on a Hollywood screen. It was largely the product of 6 movie studios established in the 1920s and run for over 30 years by a group of Jewish immigrants.
Wait a minute. Wait. What? Oh, so they're the ones that founded Hollywood. They told us it was a trope, but then they put this movie together and said, no, yeah, we actually did start that. We actually did start and control that, and we still do today. Anyway, listen.
They had strikingly similar backgrounds.
All races and religions, that's America.
All of these men who founded Hollywood were born within a 500-mile radius of one another.
Wow. All the men that founded Hollywood were born within a 5-mile radius of each other in Europe, and they're all small hats. Listen.
And all of them wound up roughly within 15 miles of one another in Los Angeles. One could say that the American dream was really born in Eastern Europe.
So the American dream So guys, I'm not going to play anymore. I said play up to 4 minutes, but there's a lot to get through. I wanted you guys to see that. That's the name of the documentary. I'm leaving it on the screen for a minute. It is on YouTube. That's where I got it. Let me just go a little bit further so you guys can get the whole name. There it is, right there. They founded Hollywood. That's not a trope. That's real. They control it, and through it, they control the masses and get the masses to do their bidding. That's what it is. Okay, let's move on. Now, let's go to the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 8. We're going to pick it up from verse number 24. It says, "O hear the prayer of thy servant, and give ear to the petition of thy creatures." So Esdras was petitioning the Most High. "For while I live, I will speak, and so long as I have understanding, I will answer. O look not upon the sins of thy people." So Ezra was petitioning the Most High not to judge the elect of Israel because some of our people were in sin. Don't judge everybody by that. Verse 26 again. "O look not upon the sins of thy people, but on them which serve thee in truth." Don't look at the ones of our people, the majority of our people that are wicked. That was Esdras' petition. But look upon the minority that serve you in truth and judge our nation by that. Verse 27. "Regard not the wicked inventions of the heathen." So we're talking about one of the wicked inventions of the heathen that they're using that actually fits right into prophecy that's going to cause a lot of our people to be out of work, which is going to spring off a whole bunch of different things that we could talk about, but we're not going to get into. Because where there's no work, there's no money, then there's also starvation, and there's also chaos, riots, killing, and everything else that goes with it. They know what they're doing. So Ezra asked the Most High, don't regard the wicked inventions of the heathen. One of the most wicked inventions of the heathen is AI. Well, since we were talking about Hollywood and the small hats controlling Hollywood, well, back in 2024, 2004, which now we're in 2024, which is 20 years ago, they made a movie called iRobot. And people went to the movie theater. It was Will Smith, and he was fighting against these robots in the movie, and it was just amazing. It was a great time, very enjoyable. Well, actually, the film was not very enjoyable because if you guys are familiar with the website Rotten Tomatoes, that's it. They judge movies that are awful. This movie has like a lot of Rotten Tomatoes. It wasn't a good movie. Nevertheless, it doesn't matter if the movie's good and well received by the public or not? The conversation is, what are they trying to tell you? Well, iRobot came out July 16, 2024. That's this upcoming July. That'll be 20 years ago. It was released in the United States on July 16, 2024, and in other countries between July and October 2004. So I keep saying 2024. Sorry, it's 2004. Produced with a budget of $120 million. The film grossed $346 million worldwide and received mixed reviews from critics, with praise for the visual effects and acting, but criticism of the plot. So the movie critics said, oh, the special effects are great, the actors are good, but the plot, well, we don't like the plot. The problem is they're stupid, because the plot in the movie is what's happening now. Let's go to the next slide. Let's look at the trailer for iRobot. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Hopefully, pray for me, YouTube. Don't shut the video down in the middle of me teaching right now. If it does, everybody be calm. I'll just open up another YouTube live and come right back. But I'm gonna play. This needs to be done. I'm going to play the trailer. Fair use, fair use. Pay attention.
We designed them.
And if you watch real quick, I'm gonna go back just for a second. I didn't play that whole movie about Hollywood being founded, but the people that founded 20th Century Fox, small hats. That's in that documentary I was just playing. It's literally in there within the first 4 minutes. I didn't play up to 4 minutes, but within the first 4 minutes, they tell you the small hats founded this. They're the ones behind the movies with these messages that are telling you what they're planning ahead for. Listen.
We designed them to be trusted with our homes, with our way of life, with our world. But did we design them to be trusted?
The rollout of USR's new generation of robot, the NS5, was marred by the death of design.
Just to be on the safe side, I'm not going to play much more of it. I want you guys just to look, right? So this movie is about AI technology, specifically robots that they created to do tasks of humans. So we just were talking about the AI that you go to the doctor and it's just the voice AI, right? Now we're getting further into this AI rabbit hole and saying, no, they got robots that do stuff too. And they showed you this 20 years ago in 2004 in the movie iRobot that we thought was entertainment. Oh, that's not real. Okay, well, they say that that's not real, right? Well, here we are in 2024. Watch.
Fascinating, crazy, maybe a little scary. I mean, it sounds like we're talking about not just using something to help
20 years later
humans do their jobs, but just replacing it entirely. Could this be a new normal on a large scale?
Hi.
New normal.
Welcome to another episode of Cold Fusion. This scene is from the popular animated American sitcom, The Jetsons. This episode, titled Rosie the Robot, first aired on September 23rd, 1962.
They've been telling you even in cartoons what they were going to do.
Character in the scene is presented with a few variations of a robot. One that's responsive to commands, will do housework, and basically work as a personal assistant. 61 years on, and we're one step closer to seeing that reality. This week, a tech startup called Figure launched a humanoid robot called Figure 01. You can have conversations with it thanks to their integration with OpenAI. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, we've already seen robots like this over the years, whether it's from Boston Dynamics or Tesla. How is this any different?
That robot looks very, very similar to what they showed you in iRobot in 2004. This is Tesla's what? Optimus, like Transformers? Transformers the movie? Everybody know Transformers, the cartoon? You know what I'm saying, the series? Well, Tesla, for real, in real time, has a robot called Optimus. And it looks very, very similar to what you guys saw in the movie 20 years ago. The small hats that run 20th Century Fox put it in the movie. Everybody thought it was funny, it's entertaining, it's cute. No, now it's here.
Well, first, let's take a look at the demo of the robot before we get into the weeds. Keep in mind that this demo, as claimed by the company, is unaltered and in real time. But for the purposes of brevity, I've shortened some parts. Alright, so let's watch.
Great, can I have something to eat?
Sure thing.
Great. Can you explain why you did what you just did while you pick up this trash?
On it. So I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
And by the way, you guys are watching this stuff and entertaining the Avengers movie too with Captain America. What's his name? In the Avengers movie, right? Iron Man, Tony Stark. Y'all thought that was fun. No, it's real, and it's here already. And what they're showing us, and by the way, this stuff is all what they're showing us, which means they have even more advanced stuff they're not showing us, not yet. Understand that.
Based on the scene right now, where do you think the dishes in front of you go next?
The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, are likely to go into the drying rack next.
Great. Can you put them there?
Of course.
After seeing how well it did for those tasks and the human-style conversation, some of you will be impressed, some excited, and some even a little bit scared. According to the company, this bot isn't being operated by anyone. It's able to carry out full conversations with people and respond to external stimuli. And that, right there, is one of the primary differences between Figure 01 and the other Android robots we've seen so far.
And if you guys were paying attention keenly, you guys saw that the plot of the movie I, Robot in 2004 was the robots were able to do things without human interaction, without human control. Now, 20 years later, they're saying these robots are able to do that.
But let's back up for a second. How did a startup only founded in 2022 make such headway? Who is backing Figure, and what are their intentions? Given what NVIDIA just announced in the past.
Same company that's replacing the nurses. You guys got to pay attention. NVIDIA is the same company that created the AI to replace the nurses. It's also the same company that's creating these robots too. Right along with Tesla and others. This stuff is wicked. Wicked, wicked, wicked. It's not cute. This is what, if this kingdom was to continue, your children, great-grandchildren, your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren have to deal with after we're gone. That's why we're praying for the Most High to send His Son. I'm not going to play too much more of this because it's a long video. I just wanted you guys to see a little bit, right? Let's move on later. So here's the Tesla Optimus. Pay attention. So in 2022, 2 years ago, for those of you guys, especially the guys, the sisters may not be too up on this. 2 years ago, Tesla had their first AI robot. They called him Bumblebee. Those of you guys that know about the Transformers get the connection. This was 2 years ago, 2022. Watch. In 2023, a year later, they came out with the Optimus, which is an upgrade. Look at that. Very human-like. You guys get the idea. I ain't got to play the whole thing. You guys get the idea. This is already, just understand, this stuff is wicked. You may not see it yet. You may not be fully convinced yet. It's wicked. I'm telling you. Right? Now, we're not done. Why else does the Bible call this a wicked invention? Because AI technology also has created technology for incels as well. You know, the guys that be in the dark on their computer, mad at the world, the incels. There's AI technology that's specifically being created for the incels. Hey, folks, if you got children around, I'm going to try to make this as sanitary as possible. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. What is an incel? An incel is a member of an online subculture of primarily straight men who identify as being unable to have a romantic relation with a woman. That's what an incel is, according to what the definition says. So they got AI for men who can't interact with women. They got AI for that. Brothers and sisters, this is wicked. I want you guys to look at right here where my arrow is, right here. What does that say? There's a new real AI robot for lonely men. Yeah. This is wicked. Wicked. That's why Ezra petitioned the Most High not to regard the wicked inventions of the heathen. Let's jump over a couple of chapters to 2nd Ezra chapter 13 and pick it up from verse number 32. It says, and the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen. The Most High gives Ezra the signs from chapter 9 all the way up to here, which I showed thee. And then shall my son be declared, which we're the ones declaring Yahushua before he comes, whom thou sawest as a man ascending. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle. They have one against another, because these nations are going to be battling against one another like they are now. But on a higher level, we see what's going on with Iran. We see what's going on with Israel. We know all the other potential nations that can get involved. We already know what's going to happen. It's already written. But when Yahushua comes, these other nations are going to stop fighting against each other, and they're going to fight him. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest, willing to come and to overcome him by fighting. They're going to try to fight against Christ because they don't want their kingdom to come down. They want to have a kingdom where you have AI robots for lonely men. That's what they want to have. And Christ got to come and destroy this thing. Verse 35. But he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion, and Zion shall come and shall be showed to all men. That's us. Everybody's going to find out at that time who the real Jews are. That's us. Being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands. Verse 37. And this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of these nations like this, which for their wicked life are fallen into tempest. Christ got to come and rebuke. We should be praying every day for Christ to come and rebuke wickedness like this. This is wicked. Let's go to the next slide. I need for you guys to understand how wicked this is. Through AI technology, the need for in-person human interaction is disappearing before your eyes, which will lead to another of their goals, which is population control. You don't have to leave your house. You can be this guy right here. You don't got to leave your house. You could just be an incel without having to leave your house. Get on a computer and have human interaction. If you're not interacting with humans in person, you guys could just run down a list that leads to population control. If you are able to have your needs met by a robot, that's population control. This stuff has been, you just thought AI was ChatGPT. No. When did the Clubhouse app become most popular? The Clubhouse app became most popular during the scamdemic because it gave people interaction with each other without physical interaction with each other. We thought it was cute. We use Clubhouse for good, right? We teach our people. But understand, all these technologies, all these applications is making it where you don't have to actually interact with each other for real, like your great-grandparents, your grandparents, even some of your parents did. If people are not meeting people, if people are not interacting, then people are not coming together and they're not having families. And the population goes. That's why there's so many articles and everything coming out about how the birth rate is so low everywhere. It's because of technology. This is a soft kill. This is exactly what the elites want. That's why they create all these things. With that being said, guys, I'm gonna play a little bit of this video. It's tough to get through. It's just putting your seatbelts. It's tough to get through, but you have to see it. You got to see that it's not gonna be too bad, but it's gonna be a little bad. A little bit. We have to talk about this stuff.
Till a few decades ago, the idea that humans could establish a bond and emotional connection with artificial intelligence creations seemed quite far-fetched.
You look lonely.
However, recent innovations have not only made it a reality, the integration of AI into intimate domains like the love and dating lives of individuals.
Look at that incel. Did you guys see that incel? Did you see that incel? Did you see him?
Intimate domains like the love.
Look at this incel right here. Look at him. Look at that.
And dating lives of individuals seems set to intensify in the coming years.
So I don't think that it's outside of the realm of possibility that human-robot relationships will become common in the future.
Did you guys hear that? Human-robot
Join us for today's video, where we dive into the realm of new female AI robots designed to serve as romantic companions for men.
I'll leave it there, guys. I know y'all killing y'all. I'll leave it there.
Till a few.
This is the book of 2 Esdras, chapter 8. We'll start from verse number 55. It says, "And therefore ask thou no more questions concerning the multitude of men, them that perish." Because Esdras was asking a lot of questions to the Most High through the angel. And the angel said, listen, don't ask me no more questions about them that perish. They got to go. They have to go. Esau got to go. And those of our people that's joined to him that like stuff like this gotta go. Simple as that, right? Verse 56. "For when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High." They despised Yahweh, the Most High, and they despise us. We're talking about the Most High too. "For when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High, thought scorn of his law." Right. Y'all dealing with that Bible, God's law stuff, that's antiquated. We live in a modern world. "And forsook his ways." Our people have a chance. The way of repentance is open to them through the Lord's teachers and prophets. We go out in the highways and the byways. We try to bid our people to the feast. We try to teach our people repentance. They scorn it. "Moreover, they have trodden down his righteous." That's us. "And said in their heart, there is no God. Yea, and that knowing they must die." So they've said that. Hey, they said they got to go for that. They have to go. I know it's hard. You come into this truth. I came to this truth with rose-colored glasses. I wanted to save all my people. But after you get here, that's why this truth is bitter, sweet in the mouth, but it's bitter in the stomach. You come to a reality after a while that, yeah, I love my people, but the majority of my people are wicked and they have to go. And it's cold. That's why the Most High can't call everybody into this truth. Men that come into this truth, and you sisters too, I'm gonna give y'all credit too. Those of us that come into this truth and stay in this truth, you really are the ones that's cut from a different cloth. You always hear Jake saying, "I'm cut different." No, they ain't cut different. They ain't cut because they could never really process or compute what it is we're computing. We understand we love our people, but most of our people gotta go. You got to be cut different to understand that, to be able to process that and function normally after knowing that. Verse 59. "For as the things aforesaid shall receive you, so thirst and pain are prepared for them. It was not his will that men should come to naught." It wasn't the Most High's will that our people should come to naught, but they forsook him. "But they which be created have defiled the name of him that made them, and were unthankful unto him which prepared life for them, and therefore is my judgment now at hand. These things have I not shown unto all men." The Most High did. When people think that everybody can pick up a Bible and understand it. No, you can pick up a Bible and read it, but to understand it, the Most High didn't show that to everybody. "These things have I not shown unto all men, but unto thee," talking about Ezra, "and a few like thee." It's only a few of us. That's why we got to keep the unity of the brotherhood and the sisterhood strong, because it's only a few people that really can receive what it is that we're teaching. Even when Yahushua was on the scene, for those of you guys that don't know, Yahushua did not start off with 12 apostles. He started off with 70. He started off with 70. But by the time Yahushua said certain things, there were certain things that was too hard for some of them to accept. And so it whittled down to 12. This truth is only for a few. I need you guys to understand that. Although the nations furthered the affliction on our people, pursuant to the book of Zephaniah, chapter 1, verse 15, we need to understand and receive that we're the ones that really did this to ourselves. That's Lamentations 5 and 7. Our fathers have sinned, and we have borne their iniquities. The real reason why we're in captivities is our fathers have sinned, and we are bearing their iniquities. And our fathers are still sinning in this day and time as well. Our parents and grandparents, some of you brothers and sisters come into the truth and try to bring this to your elders. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. That's ultimately why we're still in the condition we're in and we can't get out. Now, being in this condition, the other nations have leveraged our sin against us and use it against us to further themselves. So they're going to pay too. But we're in this condition because of what we did. Let's move on. This is the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 9. We're going to start from verse number 1. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. So I always teach you, brothers and sisters, when it speaks about measuring the time, how do you measure the time? Right? You measure the time through the canon. Your Bible is called a canon. C-A-N-O-N, and right here, K-A-N-O-N. You can spell it with a C or a K. What is your canon? Your canon is your compilation of books in the Bible, from Genesis to Revelations, including the Apocrypha. That's your canon. It's your compilation of books of the Bible. The word canon literally means what? If you guys are looking, a standard of measurement. So when the Most High told Ezra to measure the time, he wasn't telling him to measure the time based on the date of the calendar. He told Ezra to measure the time based on the canon. What's written in the book tells you where you are in prophecy, how close you are to the end, not the date on the calendar. So you measure the times based on the canon, the Bible. Let's read it again. 2 Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs. So how do you measure the time? By the signs that are in the canon, in the prophets, in the Bible. That's how you know where you are in prophecy. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before. And also here is another encyclopedia that says the same thing. The word canon, C-A-N-O-N, means to measure. So we're not looking at the dates on the calendar. Real quick, when you go to the book of Revelation, chapter 11, verse 1, it says, and there was given me a reed like unto a rod. A reed like unto a rod. Remember, John was where? John was on the island of Patmos. He was banished there by the Roman Caesar. So the Romans were in power. So this is an analogy or metaphor for a Roman measuring system that was called a reed like a rod. So John is speaking to those churches in Asia Minor, and he's using vocabulary that they'd be familiar with. They knew what a reed like a rod was because they were under the Romans. They knew exactly what that was. And there was given unto me a reed like a rod. And the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of God. Who's the temple of God? We're the temple of God. Israel, God's people. So how do you measure the temple of God? You measure the temple of God with the canon. With the canon. If you want to know if your people are in line with God's will or not, you measure that with the canon. Okay, you know what? Our people are off here. They're in sin here. They're in sin here. They're righteous here. This is good. This is wicked. You measure our people with the canon. So you measure time with the canon, the compilation of books of the Bible. You also measure whether our people are in good standing with the Most High or not with the canon. Does everybody see that? And there was given unto me a reed like unto a rod. And the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of God and the altar and them that worship therein. This is all a metaphor for us, God's people. So come back to 2 Ezra chapter 9, when it says, measure the time diligently in itself. If we want to know where we are in prophecy and how close we are to the end, you do it by measuring what the prophet said, how much has come to pass and how much is left. It says, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time where the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So we should be looking at this. We should not be distracted with what's going on in the world. We should be looking at what's going on in the world. And we see what's going on with, for instance, something that's going on right now with Iran and Israel, and the implications of other nations that could eventually become involved. And we should understand where in the timeline of prophecy that fits and how much closer that brings us to the end. That's what we should be looking for. Verse number 3. It says, and when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people. So we're going to talk about earthquakes. Now, everybody already knows that there were earthquakes recently, right? So Ezra said one of the signs of the end is that there will be earthquakes and uproars of the people. Let's look at Matthew chapter 24 real quick. Pardon me 1 second. I like my PowerPoints to be neat, y'all. Don't mind me. I'm a stickler for my PowerPoints being neat. Okay, I just had to center that real quick. This is the book of Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. It says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. So I wanted to link Matthew 24, speaking about earthquakes as one of the signs of the end, with what Ezra said in Ezra chapter 9, verse 3, that one of the signs of the end that you should be measuring, looking at the Bible and looking at what's happening around the world and saying, oh, one of the signs are earthquakes. Real quick, everybody knows that there was an earthquake on the East Coast about a week ago, a little over a week ago. Let's watch this video real quick, guys. And look at Esau, scared as hell. That ain't nothing. That ain't nothing. Come on with it. I like stuff like this. I'm sorry.
With regard to the earthquake, I spoke to the governor. He thinks everything's under control. He's not too concerned about it. The governor of New Jersey, so things are all right.
Joe Biden looks like he's about to go to sleep right there. So there was a major earthquake on the East Coast, and you know, we don't get many like I know our brothers and sisters on the West, especially Cali, they get a lot of earthquakes. We don't get many earthquakes here in New York, so it was a major thing. It was a major point of contention and conversation. Now, you gotta ask yourself a question. You might say, well, I don't know, priest, because there's always been earthquakes. There's always been earthquakes. That's true. But I want to show you guys something. Did you guys know, this lines up with prophecy too, the Bible says in the end time there's going to be earthquakes. The wickedest place on this earth is America. Did you guys know that 75% of the United States sits on earthquake fault lines? Did you guys know that? You think that's by accident? Priest, you can't prove that. Sure I can. Look at this real quick. Let's go ahead and let's come over here and let's bring this article up. Just in case somebody thinks I made it up. What does that say right there? It says a new map shows that 75% of the United States is at risk of damaging earthquakes. So just because they ain't hit yet, just understand, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, 75% of the United States sits on major fault lines with the potential for massive earthquakes. The Bible says that's going to happen. And you guys can take a look at this map right here, which I'm not going to play. It's actually a video. And you guys can see a lot of the major areas that are highest as far as earthquakes are concerned are on the coasts. And then there's a reason for that, because most of the population lives on coasts or by waters. That also makes sense because that deals with people import and export of goods and so forth and so on. So a lot of people live by the coast. That's where the jobs will be because of import, export, so forth and so on, right? So a lot of jobs will be mostly on the coast and not in the interior. And it just so happens that the Most High and the Son, when they created the earth, they created it where this country right here sits on a lot of those fault lines, so that the prophecies in it, from the beginning, this was already planned out that in the end, the very place that the Most High is the most mad at, the very place that the Most High is going to destroy, the majority of people live on a place where there's the majority of fault lines, 75%. I want you guys to understand that. So the prophets already prophesied this blind. They didn't know this. That's all I wanted. Is there anything else? No, I'll leave that there. What the hell was that abomination? Anyway, let's go back. Nobody wants to see Brittany Griner. Let's go back. All right. So you guys saw that. So this makes sense. We haven't seen anything yet. They look shook for earthquake that was like 4.7. They said it was 4.5, 4.7. That was nothing. Worse is coming. Anyway, let's move on. So you guys saw what I showed right here. Now, somebody might say, well, if earthquakes have always been, what makes them so special now? Well, what makes them so special now, the Bible says that they're going to happen in more rapid succession, accompanied by other calamities, all of which are signs of the end. It won't be a sign by itself. It'll be one of the signs, accompanied with other calamities at the same time that this is happening. You have all this other stuff happening in the world as well. It's all related. This is the book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 1. It says, but of the times and seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you, for you yourselves know that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, which after COVID now everybody went back to sleep except for the Israelites, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. When a woman is with child and she's about to have her babies and the contractions come, the contractions are far apart, but as you get closer to the baby being born, the contractions are closer and closer. So what you guys are seeing within prophecy, and we're still in the infancy stages, the beginning stages of these prophecies really taking effect, you guys are seeing a lot more things happen around the world a lot more rapidly at the same time, simultaneously, and there's still nothing yet. It's still nothing yet. It's going to get worse. Now let's talk about geopolitics for a second. We did with the AI thing already. I think everybody understands that. Let's talk geopolitics just for a second. Now, if you want to be in touch with prophecy, if you want to keep up with prophecy, we just read the Ezra, the Most High, the angel told Ezra to measure the time. So you're supposed to be looking at what the Bible says, prophecy, and you're supposed to be looking at what's going on in the world and holding them side by side so you know where you are on the timeline of prophecy. If you expect to understand where you are on the timeline of prophecy by watching your local news station, it's not going to happen. If you expect to know where you are on the timeline of prophecy by looking at Fox News, ABC News, CBS, and NBC, you're not going to be up to date. I always suggest, brothers and sisters, to get news from alternative news sources. So you guys see I took a screenshot of some of the alternative news sources, which I don't agree with some of these, but nevertheless, it just gives you a diversity so you guys can see what's going on. So you have some of the top ones, like the Young Turks, who I don't like. Democracy Now, The Intercept, Russia Today is pretty good. Common Dreams, I've never really watched before. Truth Digs, Truth Out, Counterpunch. You also have BBC America. You also have Reuters. You also have the Associated Press. You have NPR. You have ProPublica. You have Al Jazeera English. And you have Press for Truth. I know that's a lot, brothers and sisters, so I'm going to let that marinate on the screen for a second. Press for Truth is one of my favorites because Press for Truth, the guy is located to the north in Canada. And I watch a lot of his videos. And you guys will see a lot of things that eventually happen here in America. A lot of the test case happened in Canada first, right? You got the guy right up there now. That's the Prime Minister of Canada. His name is Trudeau. And a lot of the things that he was implementing in Canada, right down from the time the scamdemic came all the way to now, a lot of things he was doing eventually came down here. But Canada was the test case first. And you wouldn't know any of this stuff because what we're fed in the news, on our algorithms, on our timelines, and in the news that everybody knows about is nonsense, celebrity worship, and folly. Meanwhile, prophecy is being fulfilled. So I would suggest, if you're watching this right now and you can't get a hold of this right now, come back to this video in the future, pause it at this point, take a screenshot, and go. All these channels have YouTube pages, all of them. And go on your YouTube page and subscribe. The same way you subscribe to follow you on YouTube, subscribe to some of these YouTube channels from some of these alternative news sources so you can keep in touch with prophecy. Because by having this on your timeline, it's going to appear in your recommended videos. Hopefully, we all have the sense to watch it. And then that way you don't fall asleep. If all you have on your timelines of your social media is folly, you're going to go to sleep. Those algorithms are programmed like that for a reason. You're going to go to sleep. Trying to help you, brothers and sisters, not go to sleep. And if there are, if there are others that I didn't mention, after this video goes live on YouTube, you guys can put some other alternative news sources in the comment section as well. I know of others, but I just wanted to give you guys some of the more top ones that I know about. All right, let's move on. How many of you guys are familiar with Operation Mockingbird? The reason why I suggested these alternative news stations and news sources is because most of what you know as your mainstream media operates off a CIA op called Operation Mockingbird. Some of you guys already know what that is and have seen this video before, but we're going to pretend that nobody has in case there's one person that doesn't know what this is. This is a CIA psyop called Operation Mockingbird. A lot of the news that you get is particularly fashioned to get you to think and operate a certain way, going back to Hollywood. They want you to think a certain way. They want you to react a certain way. So they give you what they want you to know and omit what they don't want you to know. The alternative news stations actually give you a little bit more. So let's watch this video real quick in case anybody's not familiar with Operation Mockingbird. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities, the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about trouble trending irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push.
If you're not picking up, it's showing you that the news is scripted. All these news stations and anchors reading off a teleprompter, all saying the same thing. That's why you should consult alternative news sources so you can keep up with prophecy, and me too.
True without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 They had to get a Negro. They had to get it. They had to get old Step and Fetch It, man. God goodness, man.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 Now you guys understand a little bit better what I was talking about Hollywood. They control everything. And they control these news outlets like Fox, which goes back to 20th Century Fox, which was founded by the small hats. I showed you that in that documentary going back. Well, I didn't show it to you, but it's in there. They control everything and put a spell on the people by giving these people something to read off a teleprompter to control the way you think.
Hi,
This is 2 Ezra chapter 2, verse 9, chapter 9, verse 3. Again, it says, therefore, when there shall be earthquakes, which we covered, and another sign, uproars of the people in the world. Let's go.
Both Ecuador and Chile have seen intense anti-government protests. The demonstrations began after the presidents in each country made economic announcements, which in turn...
Ladies and gentlemen, they're not showing you this on CNN, Fox, NBC News, CBS, or ABC. But as we speak right now, brothers and sisters, there's uproars of the people everywhere. Watch.
Sparked a massive public outcry. But there are protests with similar motives happening all over the world as well. Lebanon, Iran, Iraq, Colombia. Many of the crises stand out for being the most severe periods of turmoil in at least a decade. So, what do all these protests have in common? Experts say the answer may be inequality. People around the world are rising up against the growing gap between the rich or political elite and the poor.
So I want you guys to see this. So all we want to do is we just want to look at what's happening in the world and look at prophecy. So Ezra, measure the time with the canon. And when you see certain of the signs pass, you should know it's the beginning where the Most High will begin to visit the world that he created. If they give you all these other distractions, you're not going to be able to measure the time. And that's why Paul said in Thessalonians that the day of the Lord is going to come as a thief in the night, not to the elect, not to the ones that's familiar with prophecy, but to all the rest of our people, and they're going to bug out. We don't want Israelites to bug out. That's why we're trying to level set ourselves and get back focused on what we're supposed to be focused on. We can talk about other things, but we can't be distracted. We cannot be using our social media platforms to be pushing stuff that's not relevant or important when all this other stuff is going on. So we got to level set ourselves. Every now and then, we all need a reality check. As I put this PowerPoint together, I got a reality check. I had to watch all these videos, and I'm like, yeah, that level sets me. Verse 4. It says, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of these things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. So we don't want to confuse what this end is. The Christians confuse it. We're not confused. What is this end that is manifest? What is it talking about? Well, let's go 3 chapters earlier. Just the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 6, verse 7. It says, Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of time? So the end is not talking about the end of the earth as we know it. It's just a parting asunder of times. Or when shall be the end of the first? So it's not the end of everything, it's the end of the first. What first? It's going to explain itself. And the beginning of it that followeth. Verse 8. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world. So what end is being spoken about 3 chapters later? The end of Esau's rulership. Not the end of the planet Earth as we know it, but the end of Esau's rulership. And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Let's look at the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1. Real quick, verse 1, it says, the words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem, vanity of vanities, saith the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What profit hath a man of all his labors, which he taketh under the sun? One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. So the end that the prophets are prophesying is not the end of the world, but the end of Esau's, where the earth will always be here. It's just the parting of asunder of times. Esau had his time to rule. Now his time is up. Now Yahweh is going to be king on the earth, and we're going to be joint heirs with him if we suffer with him, as the Bible teaches us. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 5, verse 8. It says, and when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. Verse 9, and they sung a new song, saying, thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to God by their blood out of every kindred, tongue, and people and nation, because Israel was scattered in all these places. Let's be clear. Verse 10, and hath made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. So the earth is going to be here. It's not going anywhere. But Esau is not going to be ruling anymore. So this end that's being manifested, Ezra's prophesying about, that all these signs are pointing to an end. The end that is pointing to is the end of Esau ruling and the beginning of Jacob ruling. That's what it's talking about. Hopefully everybody's clear. Let's move on. Verse 6. It says, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works and endings in effects and signs. So the end of Esau is going to be accompanied by signs. That's why I said we're not looking at the calendar. We're looking at the signs. This is the book of Matthew chapter 24. What are some of the signs? Matthew chapter 24. And when Yahweh went out and departed from the temple, his disciples came to him for to show him the building of the temple. And Yahweh said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily, I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of that coming? So the end has effects, has endings in effects and signs. So we're looking for signs. The signs of that coming and of the end of the world. The end of what world? The end of Esau's world, because we already read the earth is going to abide forever. And we already read that the Jews are going to reign on earth. So the end of the world is not talking about the end of the earth, but the end of Esau's world. And Yahweh begins in Matthew chapter 24 to give us some of the signs of the end. Right? We don't have to read all this. You guys already know, everybody's already read this, but you guys get the idea. Let's move on. 2 Ezra chapter 9, verse 7. And everyone that shall be saved, here's the good news, because last week Elder Zob said it was all doom and gloom. So here's the good news. Let's talk about some good news just for a moment. And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape. So some people are going to escape everything that we just read. And shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed. So there's hope for us in this truth. If we endure to the end, we're going to be saved by our works, which means keeping the commandments, and by our faith. That agrees with the book of Revelation, chapter 14. Let's read it. Revelation chapter 14, verse 1. I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn the song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. The only people that's really going to learn this truth, really, is the 144,000. The song is this Bible, the truth. Only the 144,000 are really going to learn this. Verse 4. These are they which were not defiled with women. When it says we were not defiled with women, we were not defiled with the philosophies of this world, which is likened unto being with a woman. We have not committed fornication with the beasts like the rest of the nations did, the other nations did, and even our people did. The leaders of our nation and the society have done. But the 144,000 have not committed that fornication. For they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. Whatever Yahweh Shah says on the paper, we believe and we apply. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God, Yahweh, and unto the Lamb. These are going to be the rulers in the kingdom. These are the first fruits. These are going to be the top guys. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault, being before the throne of God. Skipping down to verse number 12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they, talking about the 144,000, that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus Christ. So coming back to 2 Ezra chapter 9, what works are we going to be saved by? We're going to be saved by keeping the commandments and the faith. Nobody's teaching, because I know the Christian, I can hear Christian now. You guys are teaching that you're going to be saved by the works of the Lord. We're not teaching that. We're teaching that we're going to be saved by our works and by faith. Both. As the Bible teaches us, Abraham was justified by works and faith. Because faith without works is dead. They go together. The Bible does, it's a harmonious thought all throughout the Bible. It doesn't change. You got to have both. Let's move on. Verse 9. Then shall they be in pitiful case, which have now abused my ways. But the ones of our people that don't want to keep the commandments, don't want to do what we're trying to tell them to do when we go out in the highways and the byways, they're going to be in pitiful case. And they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torment. For as such in their lives have received benefits and have not known me. And they that have loathed my law, while they had yet liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. So we open up the place of repentance to our people. We go out in the highways and the byways and we teach our people repentance. They can't understand half the time, because while we're trying to teach, they're over talking us, threatening us, talking shit to us. You can't understand if you're talking at the same time as somebody else is talking. How you can understand what they're trying to tell you? So they don't understand it. They despise it. This is the book of Proverbs chapter 1, verse 20. It says, wisdom crieth without. She uttereth her voice in the streets, which is why we go in the streets and teach. That's what wisdom is. She crieth in the chief place of concourse. That's why we always set up places where a lot of our people are. So they have a place of repentance open to them. We go where our people are. We don't wait for them to come to us. We go to them in the chief places, in the openings of the gates. In the city, she uttereth her word, saying, how long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? Yeah, that's what we ask our people. And scorners delight in scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. We tell our people to turn at the Most High's reproof. Not our reproof, but we read out the Bible. Behold, I will pour out my spirit upon you, and make my words known unto you. How does the Most High make his words known unto our people? Through his prophets. But you don't see that. You just see another so-called black man that looks just like you, so you despise it. You see another so-called Latino that looks just like you, so you despise it. Oh, you black like me. And Most High is not coming off his throne to tell our people nothing. All you get is the prophets, and after that you get missiles. That's it. That's all you get. Verse 24. Because I have called, and ye refused. I have stretched out my hands, and no man regarded. Yahweh didn't come off his throne to stretch out his hands to you. We stretch out our hands to you on them streets, in the chief places of concourse. We do it. But you can't understand that. You're not spiritual. Going back to 2 Ezra chapter 9, verse 11, because you just see another man. So you can't understand that that's the voice of God speaking through that man. That's the spirit of God moving and guiding that man to leave his household, his home, where his family is, where he could be doing something else, and to go out in the streets where our hateful people are and hate us and go talk to you anyway. You can't understand how spiritual that is. How much mercy God is showing you. Our people can't understand that. You despise it. But ye have set all at naught, all my counsel, and with none of my reproof. I will laugh at your calamity, and I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as desolation, which is what's coming to our people, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me. Listen to what the Bible is saying. When our destruction and desolation come upon our people and distress, that's when they're going to call upon him. But I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, they would none of my counsel, they despised all my reproof. That's the same thing Ezra said in Ezra 9 and 11. The place of repentance is open to them through us teaching them the law, statutes, and commandments. But they can't understand it because they just see another man like them. And so what do? They despise it instead. So this is the judgment that's going to come on a lot of our people. But like I said, the good news is those of us that do the works and keep the faith, we're going to escape. That's the good news. That's the gospel, really, part of it. Now, let's shift over a little bit to another aspect of the war that they're raging on our people and the whole world, really. There's a culture war and a culture clash going on many aspects. We all know this. But the number one aspect of the culture war that's being waged on the earth is fornication. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 18. We're going to pick it up from verse number 1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lighted with his glory. Verse 2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the holds of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Here's the point. Verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. I want you guys to focus on this word fornication right here. You go into the Greek, which is where the English comes from. The KJV comes from the Textus Receptus. The Greek word right there is porneo. Does anybody want to take a guess what that word means? Does that word mean something to you? Hey, let me ask it this way. Does that word sound familiar? In the English, it's very abstract. It says fornication, right? But in the Greek, it says all the nations of the earth have committed porneo with Babylon the Great. Does that word sound familiar to you guys? If you don't know what the word porneo means, well, one of the applications of the word literally means prost. I know there's children around, so see, I'm being careful. Prost. You guys, if you look at the PowerPoint, you can see it. So there is a figurative application to what Revelations is teaching, which we could get into another time. But I'm dealing with the literal right now. The other nations are literally committing porneo with Babylon the Great. Meaning whatever is going on in this filthy, wicked, disgusting country is being exported around the world. And the other nations are gladly participating, which is another form of population control. The world is literally and figuratively in the sack with Babylon the Great. What does it mean when it says the other nations have committed porneo, aka fornication, with America? Well, here's an example.
What is the most gay-friendly country in the world? First, we have Israel, which has a gay score of 74%.
Israel, our homeland, the land that the Most High loves above all lands, is number 5 friendly to the alphabet people in the world. The land that God loves. The people that's over there saying that they're the real people and we're not. How do you get to the top of the list at being friendly to something that the God that you claim you're his people hates? How does that happen? Because the nations have committed porneo, fornication, literally with America. America exports the stuff to all these other nations. That's what they do.
Next is South Africa with a gay score of 78%, ranking on number 4. Uruguay is on 3rd position with a score of 87%. While on 2nd position, we have Canada with a gay score of 89%. And the most gay country in the entire world is Iceland with a gay score of 91%.
So I want you guys to see sometimes we get so caught up in our bubble that it's just America. No, brothers and sisters, the kings of the earth are doing exactly what the prophecy said they would be doing. Yeah, we're just talking about Diddy. See, the media is making us, specifically the American black man, the face of it, right? They're dragging rappers, actors, singers. Just this week, I saw them drag Odell Beckham in there as well. Like they're making our people the face of it. And it's entertaining. And we're falling right into that too. Not understanding that the people that sit at the top of the music industry, Hollywood, all of that is the small hats. They're the ones that force a lot of our people who will do anything for money into that lifestyle a lot of times. And our people will do anything for money, so they do it, which is wicked too. And then when they're done with that, if that's not enough, they also export it to other countries and do the same. But we're not focused on that because we're not paying attention to understand that this is not just an isolated incident with Diddy and the rest. No, this is the world we live in now. We need not to be distracted, because if it's everywhere, if it's permeating every sector of society, everywhere around the world, that's prophecy, because the Bible says the kings of the earth would commit fornication with Babylon. This is where we are in the timeline of prophecy. We got to stay focused.
What is the
You guys have heard of the movement called the Passport Bros? You guys heard about that? Now, I'm not here to talk about the Passport Bros. I'm just going to ask you guys a question. It's something that they're not telling you. You know, a lot of brothers are running over to Thailand, right? They're getting their passport and running over to Thailand. But here's what I'm going to tell you guys that they're not. I'm going to tell you guys something that they're not telling you when they get over to Thailand. Thailand is the capital of the world for ladyboys. Let that marinate for a second. Thailand is the capital of the world for ladyboys. I would play the video, but I know there's children watching. This is on YouTube. You guys can go to YouTube and look it up yourself. And you're going to see how many American men are going over to Thailand and dealing with ladyboys and prostitutes and bringing a lot of the degenerate, some good words. There's not really too many good words. They're bringing this degenerate behavior with them and infecting other societies with it as well. And they're dangling their money in front of these people. And a lot of these people go along because they want the money. It's allowed. Nobody's talking about this part. America's literally exporting its degenerate culture around the world because it's prophecy. We're just getting aside where these guys can't deal with the women over here anymore, so they're going over there to find a wife. No, maybe some of them. I'm not going to say not all. I'm not going to say none of them are, but some of them guys are going over there to deal with men. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to tell you. Anybody going to tell? I'm going to tell you. Oh, I wish I could play this for y'all, but I know this kid, so it's bad. So I'm going to skip it. I'm going to skip. My spirit is saying skip it. I'm going to skip it. You guys can go watch it for yourself. All right, let's move on. Anyway, let's talk some more now. So it's not just Thailand, it's Africa too. Here's an abstract from a professor at the University of Leeds in the United Kingdom. Culture wars, race and sexuality. A nascent Pan-African LGBT affirming Christian movement in the future of Christianity. Translation, so you guys can understand without reading all these words. There's a group of LGBT Christians that have decided to go over to Africa to do missionary work over there and promote LGBT Christian teachings. Okay? And this is allowed. This is America exporting their wickedness into these other nations, and these other nations getting in bed with America and committing the fornication with her, just like the Bible said would happen. Picking it up from Revelation chapter 18, verse 3, it says, "For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her." Here's the next part. "And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies." Let me give you guys an aspect to look at this. Look at this, right? We just spoke about the nations committing fornication with her. Guess what? The nations that say no, they don't want to commit fornication with her, they cut the money off. So it almost forces some of these nations to get in bed with her and commit fornication, or to allow it in their countries. Because if you don't, they pull the money. Let's read it. This is from a website called The Conversation. It says, U.S. talks sanctions against Uganda after a harsh anti-law, but criminalizing same-sex activities has become a political tactic globally. I just want to come down to the point about our good guy here, Sleepy Joe. I'm gonna find where it is. Let's see. Nope. Wait, hold up a second, guys. I want to see what our good guy Sleepy Joe said. I should have. Here it is, right here. So it says right here in this article, it says, for Uganda, this is a third round of anti-legislative furor following similar bills that were passed by the parliament in 2009 and 2014 and then overturned on technicalities. Still, the 2023 Act is unique in its severity and reach. Here it comes. The Sleepy Joe administration has called for the immediate repeal and threatened to cut aid and investment to Uganda. Translation, if you won't get in bed and commit fornication like these other nations will, we're going to cut you off financially. So the only way for these other nations to get rich through the abundance of delicacies of America, and that goes into many things, is to get in bed with her. And that's why you have so much corrupt leadership throughout the world, even the leadership of the countries that are Israelites, like some of the Haitian presidents have been, some of the Dominican presidents have been, some of the presidents of South America and North America have been, the prime ministers of Jamaica for the most part have all been corrupt. And the list goes on and on and on. They get in bed with the beast and commit fornication with the beast. But we're not really following this because we're following folly. The results are in, brothers and sisters. When you get in bed with the beast and commit fornication with the beast, the next step is we begin to export our bad habits to you. I want to show you guys a bad habit that they're trying to do here that can happen to these other nations because you wanted to get in bed with the beast. Ladies and gentlemen, this is about as bad as it gets. This is about as bad as it gets. This is a very short video. I want you guys just to listen. Just listen.
And I've saved the worst for last. Here is a trans activist desperate to get a uterus transplant, not because they want to give birth, but
listen, because it's going to go fast. So I want to prepare you for what you're about to hear. You have a Autobot Decepticon, Transformers, that wants to have a uterus. This is a man. He wants to have a uterus surgically implanted in him so he could have a baby. That's bad enough, right? That's bad enough. I think we all could agree that's bad enough. Does anybody know why he wants to get pregnant? I'll tell you, because it's going to go fast. He wants the uterus. He wants to go through a surgical procedure, which surgeries are painful. But he wants to have a uterus surgically implanted in him. Then he wants to get pregnant so he could be the first man to have an abortion. Yeah, watch.
and I've saved the worst for last. Here is a trans activist desperate to get a uterus transplant, not because they want to give birth, but because they want to get an abortion.
Trans women to have a successful uterus transplant, ovaries and eggs included, and I want to be the first trans woman to have an abortion.
I'll just let y'all hold that for a second. What y'all think about that? What y'all think about that? All right. We've come to the end of this first. This was part one. I didn't get through this last week, and it took me almost the whole class to get through this time. We're just going to go ahead and transition a couple of slides over into part number 2. Oops, sorry, guys. Y'all like that? So this is part 2, guys, and I could probably make like 50 parts of this. There's so much to talk about. Let's get back into geopolitics for a second. This is the book of Matthew chapter 12, verses 25 through 26, which we're going to deal with in a moment. Let's get back into geopolitics. So this is what's trending right now, brothers and sisters. You have Israel attacking Iran. This is Matthew 24, verse 7 and 8. Let's read that first. It says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom." This is one of these signs of the end. So let's watch the video real quick, and I'm going to tell you guys something. I'm going to teach you guys something real quick. Watch this. I want you guys to look at that devil. Just look at him for a second. Okay. You got him? You seen him? Okay, let's go. Let's go back a little bit. Look at these fellas over here. See them? Okay. Mm-hmm. Look at this fella right here. So it's all about Iran, whether they're going to respond or they're not going to respond. Because Israel attacked them.
Iran's legitimate defense and countermeasures have been concluded. Therefore, the Israeli regime, the terrorist Israeli regime, must be compelled to stop any further military adventurism against our interests. Certainly, in case of any use of force by the Israeli regime and of violating our sovereignty, the Islamic Republic of Iran will not hesitate a bit to assert its inherent right to give a decisive and proper response to it, to make the regime regret its actions.
And you guys can see the airstrikes, so forth and so on. This is what's been going on. Everybody already knows this. But I'm going to come back just for a second. All right. Nope, I'm going to come back right here. That guy right there, I want you guys to look at him. This is what I'm going to tell a lot of you guys. Some of you guys know this, but many of you guys don't know this. A lot of these people that rule Syria, Iran, and Iraq and countries like that, a lot of those are nothing but the descendants of the Ottoman Turks and the Khazars. These are nothing but white people that converted to Islam. That's who this is at the top. This is the Ottoman Empire who goes under the religion of Islam, a faction of white people fighting against another faction of white people that call themselves Christians and Jews. This is Satan divided. The Most High got this whole thing in a trick bag. This is Satan divided against Satan, is what it is. Because the original Persians, the original Elamites don't look like this at all. I need you guys to understand that. The Most High has this level, this war going on so many levels, it's even sometimes beyond our comprehension. These are nothing but Ottoman Turks. Some of y'all will understand and some of y'all won't. Pay attention.
One tone fairer skin in one wash.
This is what the Persian, this is what's actually going on amongst these people. They suppress the real people. The real people are underneath their foot, Esau's foot, like we are. Look.
Dirt and pollution are hiding your fairness every minute, every second.
Bright skin, fast. Bright fast. Bright fast. Of course, I have.
They sell them bleaching creams and all that stuff like they do us. Like they do us.
Being discriminated because of my skin shade. Right?
That's how the real Persians look.
From my childhood, I believe. Invariably, the first statement would be, you're not as fair as your mother. My mom is on the fairer side. So that used to be the comment which I used to always receive.
I need to come white and I need to do this. I need to come white? Really? You don't like this? This is pretty.
This is one of the reasons how you know that Esau is ruling over there. They're talking about they got their children. These are not our people, but I'm just showing you something. They got their people looking at magazines and everything and saying, I want to become white. Why? Because the people at the top, that's who that is. That's who those people are. Those Edomites. A lot of them. A lot of them. I ain't going to say all. A lot of them.
If you have dark skin, the world is bent on trying to make you at least 2 shades lighter.
Colorism, very simply defined, is light skin preference or bias for light skin or prejudice against dark-skinned people. This is a term that is commonly attributed to African-American author Alice Walker. But of course, colorism has been observed in societies around the world.
Because Esau runs the world, that's the problem. Now I'm going to end it right here. This is the book. We'll come back to this another time. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 14. We're going to pick it up from verse 4. It says, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? Because Esau is the end of the world. Esau fighting against each other at the end of the world. The golden city ceased. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth. Here's the point. The whole earth is at rest. That's what all nations are waiting for. They're waiting for this end to come. The problem is the powers that be have lied not just to our people, but to everybody. And convinced these other nations to keep us down too. But when we're ruling, the whole earth is going to rest. And it's quiet. And they break forth into singing. When Esau finally goes down, all the nations are going to rejoice. Because under Yahushua and his servants is going to be a righteous kingdom, which is what the world is waiting for. The Bible tells us the earnest expectation of the creature is for the manifestation of the sons of God. The world is waiting to see who are God's people. It's the Israelites. But the powers that be, the small hats, they try to turn public opinion against us by saying we're a hate group, we're this, we're that. We're racist, we kill people, we're terrorists and all that other stuff. And it's going to get worse. Those labels are going to get worse. And a lot of our people, because of the media, they're going to get swept into that. So we have to be vigilant, brothers and sisters. Real quick, let's end it off with this because I know our time is coming to an end. Let's come to the book of 2 Peter chapter 3 and start from verse 1. No, actually, we're going to start from verse 8. 2 Peter chapter 3. Let's pick it up from verse number 9. It says, the Lord is not slack concerning his promise. So the Most High promised certain things to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now those things are going to come to pass. As some men count slackness, but is long suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. Verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, not to us, but to a lot of our people, because they're distracted, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise. Not the heavens where the Most High dwell, but the rulerships that are on this earth. And the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and all the works that are therein shall be burned up. That's what we've been reading today. Verse 11. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be us, in all holy conversation, which is what we're supposed to be having, and godliness. That's what our conversation is supposed to be. We cannot be using our social media platforms, whatever they be, to mostly promote folly. No, you're supposed to be promoting godliness and holy conversations. That's supposed to be the majority of your posts. Verse 12, looking for and hastening unto the coming of the day of God, wherein the heavens, being on fire, shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens, new rulership on earth. That's us. And a newer earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. That's what we're looking for. Verse 14, wherefore, beloved, seeing that you look for such things, be diligent. This is a problem in the Israelite community. Not enough Israelites are diligent. They're lukewarm. Brothers don't teach. Brothers don't hold their end of the bargain. You want the end to come, but the end is going to come through diligence. And one of the main things we need to be diligent in is teaching. Be diligent that ye may be found of him in peace, without spot and blameless. So I'm going to end it right there. I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High for that. I'm hoping and praying that the class was informative to you, brothers and sisters. If you guys were able to understand everything that I brought out, just give me a little one in the chat real quick. If you guys were able to understand what it is I was bringing out. All right. Throughout a rebuke all devils, all praise to the Most High. Yeah, guys, I started a little early for those of you guys that popped in a little early because today we're having our meet and greet. So I need to prepare for that. All right. I look forward to seeing all the brothers that's coming to the meet and greet this afternoon. We're going to have a great time in the Most High. And of course, tomorrow's Passover. We're going to have a great time, there as well. It's a solemn occasion, but it's always good to be amongst the brothers and the sisters. All right. I do appreciate everyone that has been continuously sharing the videos. I see you guys sharing the videos. I appreciate everybody that's been donating. The donations help us so much, brothers and sisters. I can't even explain to you how much. So please continue. All the information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. So please continue to help us out if the Most High puts it on your heart. And guys, if you guys come here on this channel and you have not hit the subscribe button, that's off. Like, come here every week. I spend hours and hours putting these PowerPoints together. I still have a whole bunch I didn't go through in that PowerPoint. But I need you guys to continue to subscribe to the channel. Share the video if you think the video could be informative to other people. I really, really appreciate it. And as always, brothers and sisters, we are here every week, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be back next week with another powerful lesson if it be the Most High's will. Much love. It's your brother, Priest Danyaahla, representing Lions of Israel, Maccabeestv. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.
The underworld. The underworld. The underworld. The underworld. The underworld. The underworld. The part of the world I come from, we call it the underworld. Many didn't make it past a young age. There's others loaded with the gauge. Another horror story when you turn the page. They gotta change. They gotta change. They gotta change. The hood is the underworld. If you survive there, you'll survive anywhere. Can't show an ounce of fear. The Lord is my protection, so I see things clear. If any man has an ear, then let him hear. The hood is the underworld. If you survive there, you'll survive anywhere. Can't show an ounce of fear. The Lord is my protection, so I see things clear. If any man has an ear, then let him hear. That's the trenches. We used to start trouble by the benches. Cops came, we had to hop over fences. It's a hard thing to figure out who your friends is. Disrespect the fam, you guaranteed they need a dentist. I never claimed to be the toughest, I just knew to gain respect. It was crucial to put the work in but never tested. I ain't gotta worry about if a soul snitching, that'll get your soul lifted. Looking back, I'm so gifted. That street life is trash. flash. A lot of dudes gas like they run the block till they gotta see the feds. That's the part of the game I never understood. We don't own nothing at all in our own neighborhoods. They act like transgenders when they see I'm transparent. To discipline your child, to them that's a bad parent. There's no correction. They living with ego and pride. Many men died trying to prove they a tough guy. The hood is the underworld. If you survive there, you'll survive anywhere. Can't show an ounce of fear. The Lord is my protection, so I see things clear. If any man has an ear, then let him hear. The hood is the underworld. If you survive there, you'll survive anywhere. Can't show an ounce of fear. The Lord is my protection, so I see things clear. If any man has an ear, then let him hear. Salute to the elders in this truth. I appreciate the things and the works that you do. Many atrocities, but still we rise. Being real nowadays seem to be a hate crime. I guess I got felonies, more than 3 strikes, spiritual warfare. It's an ongoing fight. The city don't sleep, cause it's the belly of the beast. It was hell they offered, and my people signed the lease. The terms and conditions was, we'll be the least. In the ghetto with drugs, murdered by police. No mercy for the young, don't matter if it's son or mother. When the white folks come, be scared they came to murder. Think about what I'm saying, beloved. They screaming gang gang, but don't have a clue on why the gang started. Stand tall no matter what, stay rugged and raw. They try to sugarcoat you, but stand firm, the choice is yours. The hood is the underworld. If you survive there, you'll survive anywhere. Can't show an ounce of fear. The Lord is my protection, so I see things clear. If any man has an ear, then let him hear. The hood is the underworld. If you survive there, you'll survive anywhere. Can't show an ounce of fear. The Lord is my protection, so I see things clear. If any man has an ear, then let him hear.